Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Scott. I'm the writer, producer, and director of Skin on Skin, the rise and fall of the world's largest furrier. And today I'm here with the brilliant composer of the original score for the film, Vince Loria, a Las Vegas musician who, as I said, did a magnificent job with the score for this film, sets the tone for the whole thing. It's magnificent, Vince. First of all, tell everybody a little bit about you and how long you've been doing this.
Who doesn't love a rags to riches story? But a rags to riches to collapse story?
There were two Evans furs. The one that climbed to the top of the highest peak, amazing story, and the one that tumbled from that peak decades later. But that's not the tragedy. The tragedy is what happened in between.
They lived the American dream, and they let a lot of people come in and live it with them. And it was a wonderful story until it wasn't.
Coming from a generation that was so driven and willing to work 18 hours a day to be successful, there aren't that many people like that anymore.
They created something out of whole cloth, and he helped kings and queens around the world with their fur coats.
That was the era, I would say, the golden era of department stores and specialty stores.
Genetics loads the gun, but it's the environment that pulls the trigger.
Non-existent parenting, and so they didn't learn how to cope with stresses.
And I just look at the damage that my father created and the things that he has said.
But it certainly caused a significant rift in the family and families, and a number of us didn't communicate with each other for a long time.
You marry into the family, you marry into the business, because that is your life.
Clearly, there were problems.
I've been doing it probably about 30 years. I have a Clio award I got when I was much younger, and got to work with a lot of celebrities growing up in Los Angeles, California. Just a lot of different people, actors, all sorts of things like that. But I started as a musician, then I slowly wanted to be an engineer because I could never get the engineers to do my stuff, my music the right way. So I wanted to be able to have control like I do with the Pro Tools HD studio, which I have now. Okay. So, yeah. So, and you teach as well? Yeah, and I used to teach at Dick Grove School of Music, which is like the West Coast equivalent of Berkeley. And I've taught and done seminars and all over the place. Until when you were younger, you were a little bit of a metalhead. Yeah, I like metal more. And I originally liked blues. I really liked old blues like Robert Johnson. I love the feel of that stuff. Then I progressed and I got into jazz more. And, I won actually a Palmdale High Desert Festival jazz competition when I was in high school. And I thought that's the only thing I cared about, because I was like, dude, I was pretty much stoned all throughout high school. I mean, it was just pretty much that. I remember once my coach says, Lorian, go out for a catch. And I was completely ripped on everything was purple. You'll probably cut this part out, but I don't know. So anyway, that was the end of that. I don't do that anymore, but it served me at that time because it got me through high school, which brings me to writing music. And I've always wanted to do more classical orchestral type of arrangements because I like having the different instruments. So I started basically as a guitarist, and I got pretty proficient on guitar. But the thing is, I really look at myself as a composer that plays guitar.
Interesting.
I don't look at myself as a guitarist, really.
And so when I came to see you about this, you had hundreds, we went through hundreds and hundreds of songs that were orchestral. So you've been compiling that all this time and just waiting for the right moment to use it?
Yeah, from starting about 13 years ago, no, about 15 years ago, I went through Russell Garcia's book on composing. And actually, we talked a little bit. He's dead now, but he's a great composer. He was more in the 60s, 70s. I just follow his work because I like old movies. And anyway, I would correspond with him and things like that. And I almost got to meet him. He said, I'll be out near Vegas. He lived in New Zealand on a boat with his wife. That was a wild story. But his book, the composing book that he has two. I went through the whole thing and I taught myself from just going through it. I did every exercise. And it's on my blog. My blog was rated one of the top 50 in the world with Cambridge, Yale, Harvard. So my blog it's still out there, but yeah, I got rated pretty high.
So without getting too technical, and then we'll get into the film.
Right.
So what's your teaching style? How do you what's different about the way you teach from what the average person finds when you have a guitar teacher?
Gets like a degree and they get like a book and they go, okay, we're going to go through this book. And what I do is I custom make lessons for what people want, what they can do, and what they need. I can look at someone's hands. I don't even have to look at them. I can just listen, go up, pick is weak. I can tell whatever is the weak thing in their technique. Then I give them specific things for that to improve it.
It takes a lot of work, right? Like these people come to you. Everybody wants to be Eddie Van Halen, but
yeah, right.
But it takes a lot to be Eddie Van Halen.
It takes a lot. Yeah, I mean, even Eddie Van Halen didn't sound the same as he got older.
Right.
I mean, but his stuff is phenomenal. But yeah, you have to, it's like anything. You have to get better and better. And the thing with me is I get bored kind of easily a little bit, that's always been a trait. So I always want to get better. So I'm always writing something new, something different, jazz, classical, Bach style. I love Claude Debussy. His stuff's great. I've actually learned his string quartet on guitar, and then I would analyze it, and then I morph it, which means I could do something similar, close to it, farther, farther, farther. That's one of my favorite things.
So when I came to you for the film, tell me what stirred you about this.
What's interesting certainly wasn't the money. No, it wasn't the money. It wasn't the money. But I like the idea because I tend to write. I like, of course, minor keys. I like major keys too. But I tend to write depressing stuff. I don't know if depressing stuff is the right term, but I tend to write
melancholy.
Melancholy. I like stuff that's kind of creepy and haunting. Versus something like, let the dog get home, like the country, modern countries, like someone's like, I got my dog and I got my sister, got in the truck and I don't mean mister,
So did some wife came and told you the story? You saw I have all these songs in files.
Yes. And initially, so then we got talking and then I go, oh, now I get it. And it's like the thing about your movie, your history with this, Scott, it's very layered. It's not just like, oh, Susie made money. Susie went to school. It's like, oh, Susie, I don't know. Susie's like all over the place or whatever, like had a lobotomy and went to work at McDonald's or something. I don't know. It's so twisted, but I like the depth of stuff, like where people think, oh, I'm going to make all this money. I'm going to be happy, which sometimes people are. But when you look like Kurt Cobain and just anybody makes it, oh, I'm so happy, I'll kill myself.
Right.
That's like a weird thing to me. But I liked it. So yes, I got more in the ideas. I understood what you were actually talking about. I found more pieces and then I wrote pieces, of course, for the film too, that kind of had that. It's kind of like, I think of things like a dream kind of funeral circus You know, like things are like a funeral, but with a circus in the background.
Well, it's interesting. As time went on with the film, the initial batch of songs that we used, some of them were replaced because, as you said, you started figuring out what the whole thing was about, and then even went to writing things for it, and then even going back and remastering some of them.
And that was a good thing too. Even the ones I'd already given you, Scott, I had to remaster them, and they sound way better. Brings out the fidelity. There's different frequencies that get buried sometimes just by fine-tuning it with the mixing or the mastering more appropriately. It brings out these subtle parts that make it more interesting. And I like stuff that has more like telling a story. Like most songs go blah, 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 blah. It's called an AB formula or ABC with a bridge. But I like things that actually go A, B, C, D, E. And then what you do is you harken back to the original melody, but you do it with a different set of chords, which is a challenge because it's fairly easy to write a melody that kind of goes back and forth, but it's harder to write something that progresses, goes into something else, then it progresses again, but it still has what I call a thread of continuity. You still hear, oh, wow, that's kind of harkening back to the original thing, but it's different. One of my favorite expressions with students is similar, but different. Because when you're first learning, it's like, wow, it's gray or light, it's black or red. But the truth is, a lot of music that's great, a guy named Arnold Bax is one of my favorite guys too. His stuff is like this. It's like similar but different, and use of certain instruments or harps. And plus I do an interesting thing with the guitar. I do voicings, which means arrangement of notes that sounds like a harp or have a harp-like sound. So I imitate the harp, harpsichord, and piano, but I'll do it in sections on the guitar, which is not really, it's been done, but not exactly the way I'm doing it. That's why the soundtrack, when you hear it, it doesn't sound like, oh, it sounds like everybody else's. It really doesn't. Yeah. It's a lot of it's the way I'm voicing the chords and then interweaving the melody in it.
No, everything you do magnificently sets the mood for what we're doing in the film. So how did it feel? How did it look for you once you saw the music set to the video?
It's great. I'm stoked. I hope they do a full-length movie because, it's great as is. Scott, what you did is actually very impressive. It looks totally pro, and that kit you sent me looks totally professional. But it would be great if they could get like Brad Pitt or, I don't know.
That's what we're working on is, we're going to have this docuseries of 3 documentaries.
Right.
And then there's that. So there's 3, and then there's accompanying a podcast that we're doing.
Oh.
And then there's also a screenplay for that series you're talking about. So maybe we'll get there. Who knows?
That'd be great. But I'm excited where it is right now. I think the music really fits the scene
perfectly.
You would run stuff, and it's almost like I was thinking about the other day. It's like you're excited something's going to happen, but you know it's going to go to heck. You know what I mean? It's like, wow, this is so exciting, but it's like you almost have dread while you're excited.
Right. And that's part of why it worked so well for me, fitting it to the video was, the story's a roller coaster. And most of these songs that you wrote are a roller coaster. You're taking it, whether it's 2 minutes or 4 minutes or even Forbidden Future, which is 10 minutes, you're taking us really through this series of emotions that drive the whole thing. So let's take a look at a couple of the songs. So
cool.
One of the ones I really love is the one from the section about my grandmother Thelma, and that was called Rudjet Tamay.
Oh, yeah.
Let's just put that on for a minute.
That has, I thought at the time, not necessarily, but I kind of a French feel for this. Like the other thing is that a lot of times when I write music, I get a certain picture in my mind. So I'll think of like the circumstances of what happened to your family, but then I'll just kind of go to sleep. And some of the best things I've written have been why I'll get an idea in my sleep, And then I wake up and I write it on the ukulele. Originally, these were written on the ukulele, believe it or not.
Really?
And then I flesh them out with the guitar and the piano.
Okay, we may have to have you pull that out.
Yeah,
Then
I mean, just know you, it's I could show you. Yeah. That's supposed to be like a accordion.
So what are you trying to achieve here? What's
Kind of like a summer day. So like right there. Okay, so it starts, everything's happy and the children are running and everyone has in perpetuity enough money for their kids. But then it gets a little mischiefy, like they hit a bump in the road. That gets a little sick right in there. So you can almost feel like something bad is going to happen.
well, and that's everybody knows that. I mean, and it fits the mood.
Everything's got that. Yeah. I like it.
Some of my favorite things from the film are the more ethnic sounding ones, like this. A lot of young men will play up Ross Taylor's. I love Ross Taylor.
That song is just one of my favorite.
And that comes towards the end of the film. I think that's actually used for the previews for the next episode of it.
I see somebody wanting to come to America to be successful. That's what I felt writing this. Like, oh, I'm going to go to America. I'm going to be a success, which your family did. But yeah, this is kind of Greek. I like Greek stuff.
What do we have snapping in there?
Okay, those are like what are those little snap things? Okay. So now on this one, I didn't play the percussion. Most of these things I play everything. Guy named Mike Boardman, as a drummer I use sometimes, and he played the snappy snaps and did some drum parts that are very creative too.
Oh, when you do, are you doing that together or are you doing them separately?
No, we do it. It's funny because it sounds like we're together, but he's in Colorado, I'm here, and they were with me. It's like months apart. But we do it because we're good at it. We're able to make it sound.
Sure.
I don't know if you want me to keep playing. Yeah. And see how it builds?
Yep.
Again, that expectation of greatness, of heart. Oh, wow, the American dream,
We're right about here where we hit this point where but you can tell that something's going to happen.
Right.
And that's what's beautiful about this plucking right here.
You like it?
Yeah, I love it.
Kind of wild. And that sound I'm making, that's like I think I put an organ through a distortion box. So, and then you go, this is supposed to be like, we made it. We've got the $100 million. This is just kind of like being there.
Right.
But then at the end of this, it gets a little sad. It's like excited,
Like I think if the amusement probably what takes you up and I just boom. I don't actually know.
And then this one kind of comes down because I didn't keep it elevated. That's kind of like thinking to yourself, like, wow, is this gonna really stay? I thought I'd loved her. I don't know. It's like, and then this is back to the top. But with another sound added.
And I'm always all these layers. That's what I know and I'll notice in all the songs that you're constantly adding more tones and layers as the thing goes on.
Yeah, I try to keep it because I get bored, a little bit of ADD myself. So I like it to still have that continuity, but you do want to
keep moving forward.
Keep moving forward. So it's not just looped.
Right.
Just the same thing over and over, which most modern music, does kind of. That's why it bores me.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, how about my other favorite one, which is the only real rock song on the soundtrack, is "Angry Man."
Yeah, this song.
A little bit about that because this song I just jammed to this myself all day long.
I mean, sometimes, you know, in life you get mad or you get something that bothers you. I think I wrote Angry Mad. Okay, so this is going to be real personal, but when you're a musician, there's a lot of like, I don't know if the haters is the right word, but people will like, and you have a certain level of ability, they'll get mad. They'll just say stupid stuff.
They always want to just knock you down.
They want to knock you down. You know, and I don't want to get at a negative thing, but you'll say like, wow, this thing is filmed, and they'll always find they'll find the gray cloud and the rainbow. But anyway, I think somebody had said something to me, it was written a few years ago, and I just got mad kind of. So this kind of slide playing, I took a nice thing like the blues, which is kind of melodic, and I just kind of was angry with it just a little bit. That's why I call it Angry Man. See, and this starts again kind of like, oh, I've heard that, but then the way I play the slide is not like other guys. I'll use chromatic semitones in a different way to create like a harmonic sequence. Drums. I started out with drums. I was originally a drummer when I was a kid. So drums, like this changed.
What did you play in your metal band?
Or in the metal band, I was guitar. Yeah, I played with my hair. My hair was cool.
Yeah, but what I love about this is as the song goes on, it gets more and more disturbing.
Yes, it does get, right. You know, Scott, because I get part of that's boredom and part of that's with, you know, when you're angry, the anger feeds on itself.
Right.
But it's not so much I'm yelling at someone. I just take it out I just kind of use the guitar to get it out. Clapton talks about that too, where he was playing. If I had a bad day, I'd play this, and he does the thing. But I did that with this song.
Go grab your ukulele and let's just show us how.
All right, I'll do it. I'll definitely.
Okay, so
you know, well, I'm like ukulele, so I'll wake up in the middle of the night. So my best stuff is around 3 a.m. 3, you know, and then the other thing is I watch a lot of UFO things, so I'll go to sleep watching these just creepy UFO, you know, just UFO shows and weird. So when I think of those things, I get
so we fall asleep to that, and then you'll in your sleep, in your dream, something will come to you, and then you just wake up and start playing.
And then I start playing. So
what do you do to not forget it though? Once you start playing,
I either play it repeatedly, or I literally come out and write it out.
Okay.
Because I found that if I sometimes don't write it out, I'll kind of forget it's got. I'll only remember parts. But like just give us a little bit. This was a thing.
Whatever. Like you just woke up and right up.
Let me see. So you go like, this is a song. Just like that. Now, if the idea works on a little cheap ukulele, that means when you flush it out with guitar and piano, it's going to sound amazing. I can show you all pieces in music that were originally started on the ukulele.
Wow.
Is that wild? So that's what we call a seed or a motif, right? You know, idea. See, that one I remember because I love that. And then going to the C.
So if you can make it work, simply like this, then you know you're onto something.
Exactly.
It was an idea was going.
You use all these synths of different things, or I use samples actually more than synths. And you know, you can have these great sounds, but if you don't have something that has an original thing that catches you, that has that little thread of continuity, you heard how the chords were going into a little world, they'll start to grow. So yeah. The uke is great.
Why don't we put up one more and got so many layers to it. It's so rich, and there's so much going on. And it comes at a point in the film where, you know, we're getting to the crescendo of, you know, everybody finding out how horrible somebody in my family is. And this just goes beautifully with it.
I mean, it's a scary thing that occurs in this. Now, this, like Forbidden Future, sometimes like when I think of like a piece, again, it's pretty much what I was thinking of, like just everybody kind of gets a general anxiety of like what's going to be occurring in the future. But this one put a lot of work on this piece because it's really representing a lot of angst and kind of a depression, because I went through like kind of a depressed period many years ago when I moved here off actually coming out of a divorce. You're kind of in a weird space, or at least I was. Sometimes people are just partying, but I was in a weird space. So instead of like trying to drown it out with alcohol stuff, I just write it out.
Right.
So this is, some of the stuff you hear is actually what I was feeling, which is kind of weird, like how they could take like a shot of your thoughts.
One of the things that amazes me, and really I found unique when all the times we met on this was, we went through hundreds and hundreds of songs, but you listen to every song and you know the moment that you wrote it.
Yeah.
But as you're discussing here, what was going on in your life?
The feeling that I was having at that time.
Right. And what was going on in your life?
It's because I can remember it. Go, oh, that's why I wrote this thing. Or
But you might not have listened to something for 5 years.
10 years. So yeah.
And still it comes when you hear it.
I try to, just be able to go. It takes me back to it. That's why the better stuff usually has something that like kind of hangs with you too.
Now that you've done this, and we're going to do 2 more of these,
Awesome.
how do you, going into those, how do you think you might approach scoring this a little differently?
Pretty much, there's still, is it going to be sad, right?
Yeah, this is not a happy
It's not a happy story, Scott. I mean, it's pretty friggin' sad. Just depending on the storylines and things like that, I already have a pretty good idea of what I'm going to do to some degree. Some of it will be new. I mean, I'll probably write some new things. I've been working on, there's a thing I was working on that, can I play you with?
You're going to give us a preview.
Yeah, this is kind of a now, okay, so
waiting for part 2, everybody.
let's just so I write 3 different ways. I write with the ukulele, I come in and write it down. I write from my mind straight to music. In other words, I don't have a piano or a guitar. I just write it out into Sibelius, this program I use. And then the third way is sometimes I have part of an idea on a piano or the ukulele or guitar. Then I write the rest out in Sibelius. So I write 3 different ways. Whereas when I was younger, you would just you write just with the guitar. But I find if you use these different ways, it pulls out different things out of your conscious, subconscious, and superconscious, like I'm into the meditation, different things like that, and getting in touch with, like infinity and that whole, like when you meditate, you see the light. I used to do that a lot more. I haven't done as much now, but I remember as a kid, I would always see this light. I go, what is that? Am I crazy? But it's like the third eye. I would see that all the time as a kid. So
now give us a taste of what you're thinking about for part 2.
So this is this thing. So this program, Sibelius, is really cool. The sounds are not as good as Pro Tools because you're using a mock-up of the sounds, Scott, just to get the idea. It's like when you're doing a play and they have you walk to a line.
Right.
Susan, the baby's on fire. Bobby, go, you're not doing 100%. But this is kind of different. I don't know. This almost has a New York thing. And I also relate to the New York thing in your movie. Because my family's from back east. So I get that back east, where California was like, hey man, have a nice day. Where out back where I came from, it's like, you're going to get a beat. You're going to get a beat. Let's see. This is kind of Spud Sweet. And I was good. There'll be a violin over this probably. Oh yeah, I did put a violin. Oh, so I watch it keep growing. It's not just repeating the same thing.
Yeah, you can already see where it's in, but with if I do like it, Scott.
All right.
Oh my God, we're gonna get out of this. It's gonna be great.
No.
No, you're not.
Whoa, that's fabulous. Okay, I can't wait.
We're little baby.
Beautiful. Okay, well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. Vince Furrier is the genius behind the original soundtrack of Skin on Skin, The Rise and Fall of the World's Largest Furrier. I'm Scott Hunter. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again.
Thank you.
On the next episode of the Companion Podcast, in support of the film Skin on Skin, The Rise and Fall of the World's Largest Furrier.
Why don't we actually flip this around and talk about you and why you got into this and what this means to you?
Okay. We can do that. I love finding out more things about my family that I assumed I knew and found out that I kind of knew. Multi-generational tyranny, what I've learned is can go back dozens of generations.
Right.
And you see that that resonate all throughout the film. One of the things that, again, when you step back and come out of the lens of this now, when the thing was at the top of the highest peak, it was unbelievable. It was impressive. The reputations these people had was impressive. Their standing in their communities.
On the next episode of the Companion Podcast, in support of the film Skin on Skin, The Rise and Fall of the World's Largest Furrier.